Trap squad, 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 trap squad. Hey, clickbaity political. Yeah, thirst trap, trap squad, squirrel squad. Our mission is critical to speak the truth to the masses. Yeah. We here for the fight. We ain't started, but we here to finish it. Sick and tired of seeing the privilege. Take advantage of the weak and the innocent. So we let our voice be heard. Every single weeknight. Unapologetic. Yeah. Black people, despite this white supremacist system that we live through on a daily, we still throwing up those acorns cause we represent clickbaity. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad, throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad, yeah I see you, yeah I see you. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad. Throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, yeah I see you, yeah I see you. Trap squad, 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 trap squad.
If our election systems continue to be rigged and continue to be stolen, then it's going to lead to one place, and it's bloodshed. And I will tell you, as much as I'm willing to defend our liberty at all costs, there's nothing that I would dread doing more than having to pick up arms against a fellow American.
We have reports of someone inciting violence through categorically false election lies!
That may seem like empty platitudes, but are taken literally by supporters!
And could lead to a violent January 6th style insurrection!
Or tear apart families, friends, and communities!
All because it raises the perpetrator's profile and keeps those donations coming!
Or worst case, lead to a Fox News contributor gig!
Oh, it's Madison Cawthorn. You get away with whatever you want, so we're gonna head on out.
Sorry about the windows.
Tuning the fuck out. Tuning the fuck out. Shit would be funny and laughable if those cartoon characters that were playing FBI had not warned us Republican GOP candidates and also elected officials really using election lies from 2020, still using them to build their fucking profile. Let me tell you what I'm saying. These people are literally saying, fuck democracy. I'm getting rich off this lie. It makes me a national figure amongst a large portion of the population. So I'm gonna roll with it. The problem with it is deadly, as we saw on January 6th, not to the lives of everyday citizens directly, but it is in the sense of them trying to kill democracy, and also them trying to kill our representatives. And that's not hyperbole, that is a real thing. What's up, y'all? This is Mondale Robinson, one half of the team of Clickbaity. And when I say one half, I really mean that, because we got one of our producers, Tunde, and you'll hear his voice throughout the show. And you have me, not Marcus and Dwayne. They're doing the lazy boy thing and sitting their ass at home doing something, probably drinking coffee in their raggedy underwear. It is Thursday morning. Go ahead.
Dwayne is actually in the chat right now, man in the chat. So he's doing his thing. He's here.
Tunde, stop being the damn voice of reason and let me wild out, bro.
Fair enough.
Yo, you just watched.
Now Dwayne's trying to hop in here. What's going on?
Hold on, Mondale.
Dwayne, so not me, not today. Listen, Clickbaity, squirrel game. What you just watched is not a clip from Family Guy or any other cartoon series. That is an elected official from my home state of North Carolina lying about election laws and literally doing the same thing Trump did on January the 6th to incite these crazies to go and kill someone that's elected or threaten someone's life. We are at danger of being the laughing stock of the world as we run around and try and tell people how important democracy is and nation build at the expense of American troops' lives and civilians who fight beside them, all while we can't even fucking hold an election and make half of the elected officials in this country say that the election was legitimate, even though we know it was. We know this because not just Democrats or progressives said it so. We know it because even Republican officials said it so. And every court that saw Donald Trump threats or attempt to steal the election threw them shits out because they had no merit. This is disgusting. This is absolutely disgusting and dangerous. And I'm so afraid. I'm so afraid that people are playing games, and by people I mean the national media, CNN, MSNBC, and Fox, with these stories, and not really giving them the attention that they need, and connecting them to these extremists that are popping up everywhere. You have people, and when I say extremists popping up everywhere, guys, listen to what I'm saying. You have people going to school board meetings, threatening school board members about masks because of misinformation. We're finding out that these people, this happened in Florida 2 days ago, these people don't even live in a county, let alone have kids or grandkids in this fucking school. This is the definition of outside agitation. But the problem is they are violent. One of these people got in a fight with a person wearing a mask over their civil liberties, over their freedom. We are in a dangerous space when we are equating life with freedom. And Catherine is doing just that when he's talking about this election and taking up arms against an American, a fellow American. Motherfucker, you are committing treason damn near, and the House needs to discipline him.
Yeah,
the House needs to discipline him.
And in this article from The Independent, they mentioned that Cawthorn actually, he describes the insurrectionists from January 6th as, quote, political prisoners,
Yes.
end quote. And also, his words are insanity, right? But I think you mentioned something that I kind of want to touch on real quick is, you said that, it's because of this misinformation. I don't think I'm buying into that anymore. I don't think it's about misinformation. I think, misinformation would kind of like indicate that somebody is at least trying to research these things, look into it, discover, whatever the truth is, into the facts. That's not what people are doing though. They're just buying whatever the people that they like are selling to them. Right. So it's not even like misinformation so much as this person could say whatever the truth. They could say a falsity. It doesn't matter. They could say literally anything and they'll believe it because they want to believe either in the people or whatever ideals that those people like represent. So, I don't think it's just about, oh, they're just getting their facts wrong. They don't care. They don't care if they get the facts wrong. They don't care about the truth, period. So I don't think it's necessarily about just like these people like Cawthorn are misinforming people, but that's kind of like the byproduct. The feature is the fact that they just want to believe in insanity. That they want the country to go back to this fucking, hey, like let's just fucking just take everything over. Let's just have another civil war. I think that they want that. They want to instigate that, and they'll use anything to that end.
Yeah. I think what you're missing is I think you're saying. Like this is common fucking sense that there's no fraud. It's common sense that those people that attacked the Capitol with the intention to kill, and they really did have intention to kill, as they did kill an officer, and then there's been 4 or 5 more officers that have died since January 6th. And then also, don't forget that they placed bombs outside of the party's buildings, right? And they had weapons of mass destruction, and they were talking about hanging the then Vice President Mike Pence. So you're saying that these people know better. They just want to believe this shit. Well, that is the definition and the power of misinformation. Let me give you an example to make it plainer. I would argue that every white person that is racist know fucking well they're not superior to black people, but they buy into the ideal of white supremacy because of this misinformation campaign that started more than 400 years ago. And every day that they're forced to deal with the reality that they're not superior, it fucks up their world. So think about that. Every time a white person is arguing with me or or about race or racism and or not being race or me talking about race is the reason for racism. Every time they're forced to swallow the factors that I'm throwing at them, it shakes their heaven and earth. It changes their idea of belief of everything that they know to be true. Their supremacy clause is fucked up when they have to suffer and try to concentrate on the fact that systems really are oppressing people that aren't white in America, and that white people are not being targeted and left out by our government, right? And every study shows this every time we do them. Any type of study shows that benefits of this country are mostly for whites. So I think the misinformation is that powerful. Someone started a misinformation campaign about racism, and these white people haven't let it go in 400 plus years. And absolutely, they know they just want to believe the shit that people are saying, i.e., there is no institutional racism, even though all the facts show it, i.e., there is no police brutality problem for black and brown folk in this country. It's the way that we behave, even when we're not doing any fucking thing.
Yeah,
Right?
for sure. And I agree with everything you're saying. And I think that we're not necessarily saying different things, because I fully agree that, like, they don't care about knowing better because they know that the system that's in place benefits them. Right. So it's not necessarily, they're just waiting for somebody to kind of rebuff that, or not rebuff, but like to reinforce that. Right. Just so whatever information, right or wrong, they're looking at it as, yes, no, we want that information, as so long as it keeps us in power, so long as at least those who feel like they're in power. Right. Because, a lot of these white people have no such power at all, but yet they're made to feel like they have power due to the elite class, if you will.
I think, okay, so we'll just stop calling it misinformation and being nice and call it fucking lies. How about that?
Yeah.
They
Fair
believe
enough.
the fucking lies.
Yeah.
How about that? Because I think that the term misinformation was a turnoff to you, because they know it's a fucking lie and they just keep saying it. So I'm with
For
you on
sure.
that 100%. I'm 100%
Absolutely.
with you on that. I would also say, man, there's a lot of truth in what you said about that these people don't have power, except for the fact that the white skin is a sort of a power to allow certain folk to walk
For
around and
sure.
talk about like there's only one race, the human race. You know how dangerous it is. Because you're a black man. The world needs to know how dangerous it is for black men to walk around with this idea that there's only one race, the human race. That is beyond naive. That is almost a death sentence to show up in the world and think you can show up and do what your white friends or your white wife or your white whatever or your white husband or whatever is doing. You will get killed. I promise you. Black people, you better not walk around with the fucking idea that there's only one race, and that's the white race, because you are asking to be killed in these United States. I promise you, it is a death sentence. Um, I said something in my opening statement about how we are becoming a laughing stock as we talk about, brother, as we talk about, trying to nation build and democracy all over the world, but ours is fake. That's a wonderful segue, I think, into talking about the cost of this 20-year war. The 20-year war, we should call it what it is, the longest war ever in this country's history, right? 20 years America was in Afghanistan, and that cost is unbelievable. Harvard, Linda Blimes from Harvard said, that there's going to be an additional 2.2 trillion add to what we already has spent in today's dollars, which is $5.8 trillion. So that's a total of about 8 trillion fucking dollars spent on a war, not to mention the 7,052 American lives, not to mention the more than million of people who lost their fucking life. I said 8 trillion, y'all. $8 trillion. Let me put something in perspective. War, and I'm not being crass, war is an avenue for a lot of people to make a lot of money, and people never think about the financial benefit for those who are engineers of war, Halliburton and other companies, Blackwater, all of these people who become billionaires off of the government, off of taxpayers, $8 trillion fucking dollars. We know it costs $175 billion for 20 years to end world poverty. There would not be a hungry fucking soul. That's $3.5 trillion. That's almost 5 trillion less than we spent on a fucking war in one country to eradicate poverty in the entire world. When people can eat, when people have the safety of not being poor and hungry, it frees up their mind to do other things, like think about building healthy relationships, like thinking about education, like being able to be educated, like thinking about things that are self-actualization. Those are not my thoughts. Those are the thoughts of Maslow hierarchy of needs and many other theories. I am super fucking saddened at that number, $8 trillion. That means we could have eradicated poverty twice and had some left over for infrastructure. Not just poverty in this country. I'm talking about poverty in the entire world could have been eradicated. Yet and still, we lost 1 million lives. And nothing has changed. Taliban was in control when we got there. Taliban is in control now. This is what happened when you wage war without I'm not even going to qualify it. This is what happens when you wage war, period. A few companies get super rich, and a lot of people pay a lot of money, and also a lot of lives are lost at the expense of rich old men who are not ever going to see their kids go to war.
Yeah. And shout out to Netta Crawford, who she wrote this article for The Nation, and she's been doing this project, the Cost of War, and it goes through great detail of just how much not only that we've spent on just wars in general, and maybe more specifically Afghanistan, but also the lives lost too. You know, there's been over 7,000 some odd lives lost in Afghanistan.
That's like 9/11.
Exactly. And you know what's crazier to me is the Afghanistan papers came out like a year and a half ago, maybe even 2 years ago, something like that. And what's crazy is the conversations that are happening now. Like, so I was I guess in high school when 9/11 happened, and so and I was not interested in politics whatsoever, and so the whole media coverage of everything leading up to the Afghanistan Iraq wars. All that coverage I kind of missed because I wasn't paying attention at all. And so, but going back and hearing how people talk about it, about how the media sort of just egged everything on and was just completely complicit in getting us into these wars. And once we were there, basically just saying, yeah, no, we belong there. We need to be there because we have to prevent these 9/11 things from happening, even though we can go through frontwards and backwards about how, okay, well, why are we in Afghanistan? Why are we in Iraq if the event was 9/11, which, anyways, but the main point I'm trying to take from that is that the conversation is exactly the same. With Joe Biden withdrawing from Afghanistan, the conversation is, Joe, why are you doing this? Collectively from the media's, Joe, what the fuck? What's going on? Why can't we just be there literally forever? That's the only argument I've ever seen is oh, well, we need to fight the war on terror and we need to be in Afghanistan. But it's just like, well, what does that mean? What is that? How is that an objective? That's not saying anything. You're just going to literally be in a country that's not ours for forever.
Right. And for what means? I mean, we literally they have newer roads in some cases, in a lot of cases in parts of Afghanistan than we do in America, right? The tragedy, my friend, is people talk about shit in context, in soundbite shit that sounds good. And I saw every news station, national news station, say the same thing. Oh, the withdrawal was sloppy, blah 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 blah. And I'm thinking to myself, with Walter Cronkite had covered, did he cover Vietnam the way that CNN and MSNBC and Fox and others covered our exit from Afghanistan? How the fuck do you exit war clean? How do you exit a war clean? I mean, I want to go back and look at the end of every war we pulled out in a foreign country, and I want to see what happened. Right? Russia took fucking half of Germany after World War II, right? The USSR took the whole half of our country, and the USSR was our fucking ally, supposedly, in that war. And people talk about the American loss from World War II, when in actuality, the real reason that could be argued that Hitler couldn't fucking turn around and blow up the rest of Europe or focus on America is because Russia had so many bodies to sacrifice in that war. We lost how many people compared to Russia? Russia lost over 2 million fucking soldiers in that war. 2 million, bro. So Hitler trying to fight that cold fight in Russia is what broke Germany's army or military power. And then it gave America power. So we talk about history in a real fucked up way. And our exit from that, like I said, left Russia the ability to take an entire country, half of it anyway, and separate families. Who talks about what happened in Vietnam when we pulled out? What happened to the people that were helping America? So I think it's ahistorical the way that we cover news and people are talking about Afghanistan and the way you withdraw. I'm not a fan. I'm not here cheerleading Joe Biden. I'm just saying I'm a fan of fucking accuracy. And I don't think we do that well. This is why I divorce media, man. Like, I am very upset with the coverage of late and all the other shit that's being missed. I even read something about the March on Washington and how they gave credit to Vanessa, the sister who was a co-founder of the Women's March. The article that I read gave her credit for being the architect of the marches that just happened, the 58th anniversary march this Saturday. And it was absolutely disgusting to me because they made it like it was her idea. They made it like she made it happen. But in actuality, that's not what happened. So they made the face of Martin Luther King's 58th anniversary, I Have a Dream speech, a white woman. You know what I'm saying? I think that only happens when we have been numb to the idea that there's more research to be done than what the talking heads are telling us or what people are feeding us. And I don't think that happens in this country anymore because people are just comfortable with news clips or sound bites, and instead of reading papers or reading deeper than what they just want to be heard. And it feels like people are being force fed. Part of this is the social media thing too, the bubble you can create around yourself where you can only have people you like in your space. I think we're in a dangerous space, man, where we know shit about democracy, we know shit about history, and we definitely don't know anything about our current politics and how it really happens. So much so that everybody are fucking experts, man. So I'm real sad at the human cost, absolutely, of war, and we shouldn't minimize that, the amount of loss that has happened. But we also got to talk about what happened and how war ends. How does war end? Like, right? And I've not seen any of these so-called smart people, these pundits or these journalists talk about it. And like I said, I lost a lot of respect for folk like Anderson Cooper and all these other folk covering the end of Afghanistan and not talking about the end of any other wars and how that happens. And then not offering people the truth as it is, because I don't think there's a way to leave Afghanistan to make it look different than it happened. Had it happened in June, had the wind down happen in June in the middle of serious fighting between the Taliban and then the Afghanistan now defunct government, it would have been fucking worse. I guarantee it, because you would have had people seeing American taking people out of the country during a civil war, which means people would have been getting running to the airport trying to get out at probably even at a higher rate. I don't know how the exit would have been any different. It couldn't have been executed anyway. It's the end of war. It's going to be messy.
Well, that's just it, right? Like, what's a war that has no goal? The war in Afghanistan had no true goal, right? It wasn't, okay, we know we needed to just, they posed the greatest threat to America, so we know we just need to quote unquote eliminate them, right? That wasn't even the goal, right? The goal, if we're keeping it real, is oil, right? Is resources, right? It's not, the goal was never to win by just eliminating a people. The goal was simply to just get as much resources as we can. That and keeping all of the contractors paid, keeping keeping all the Lockheed Martin, like all these companies, keeping them with some sort of pipeline where they, it's a never ending funnel of money to them, and that's really the only goal. And so that's never going to stop. They're never going to have enough money, right? So there was just never any sort of exit. And if there's no, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're right, brother. And it's actually the idea. The problem is, the shit sounds real stupid when you consider the fact that, let me try to make this plain, because I'm a whole nerd on this shit. So, our reason for Afghan was not oil, right? Because Afghan really don't have oil. But I know what you're leaning to. Like the Iraqi shit was about that. I know what you meant. I know exactly what you meant. But so the mission supposedly, brother, is what they told us when they went in, was to Afghan was hiding bin Laden and Al Qaeda, right? So this, we need to go there because this is where they're hiding, and these are the people that committed the crimes of 9/11.
Well, I feel like that's like the excuse that they use to even get us into Afghan.
Well, I mean, in full disclosure, this is where we killed. This is where, when I say we, I'm talking about America. Look at me sounding like the house nigga. What's wrong, boys? We sick? Fuck wrong. This is where America found. This is where America found a lot of the Al Qaeda network and bin Laden, right? Found and killed them. So this is it. We didn't. Now think about this. That was the reason. Hold that, and then let's go somewhere. Let's go back 22 years. This is the year before we went in Afghanistan, right? So if we go back to 22 years ago, Taliban was committing all the crimes it's been known to commit, right? Being fucking horrible towards women, all of that, and we were not in Afghanistan. We didn't go to Afghanistan then to stop all the bullshit that Taliban was doing. So my argument is, if we went to Afghanistan to eradicate the Al Qaeda network and kill bin Laden, we did that 10 years ago. So if that was accomplished 10 years ago, why the fuck were we still there? Why the fuck are we still there? So after 10 years, we're back to where you said. We're fighting a war with no meaning. A war with no meaning cannot have an end date, right? It becomes a forever war. What the fuck are we doing here? When you are just walking around making people rich, I'm talking about these contractors that fight over there, these companies, then there's always going to be a person to support us staying there. There will always be powerful people telling you that there's a reason. And by telling you, they're not using you, they're using your representatives through dollars and donations to their campaigns to make you believe that it's necessary for us to stay there. So in turn, there's always going to be somebody to push back against leaving. Those somebodies, unfortunately, happen to be coming from politicians and talking heads at these news stations who ain't bothered to fucking read that newsflash, we killed bin Laden 10 years ago. Why the fuck are we still here?
Yeah.
Why the fuck are we still here? That's the one thing that I can say about Joe Biden that is beautiful to me. And also, this is not even, he shouldn't get credit for us leaving because Donald Dumb, that's his name to me, Donald Dumb Trump, actually signed an agreement with Taliban last year. His last year in office, forcing this movement, right? Forcing this movement where if America didn't leave this year, Taliban was going to start doing the IED attacks on our troops again. And we have to acknowledge that. So I'm saddened that we are in a point where we choose to be ahistorical about this war and all wars, in that talking about the drawdown, and then also people not willing to admit that for the past 10 years, and I say the past 10 years because when we killed bin Laden, the past 10 years, there we go again, when America killed bin Laden, for the past 10 years, America's been in an endless war, a war with no meaning except for to dump money into contractors' hands and make a lot of money for a very few people at the expense of 1% of the population. And 1% is, there's 1% of the American population that serves in the military. And it's usually, you know, poor folk for the most part. Rich people aren't losing kids in war.
Yeah.
It's just the nature of this country, bro. And that's just keeping it in a buck.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, like, I think, you know, as you sort of like laid it out in terms of why we originally, what the excuses were for why we originally went to Afghanistan. It's just, you know, it's kind of amazing that, you know, you see people posting things and doing things, and people really do live in sort of an echo chamber of their own making, because the same people who are saying, oh man, you know, what about the women's rights and all these other things, basically saying we should be staying in Afghanistan, those same people, I'm sure, Trump supporters and this and that, they don't know that Trump actually signed that deal. So I'm sure if they would know this, you know, if they would know that, oh, Trump is the person who, you know, instigated this, I'm very sure that their tune would change extremely quickly of, oh no, oh yeah, get all the troops out immediately. You know, we don't care what we leave behind or what's going on. They wouldn't give a fuck about anything that's going on right now. Could the withdrawal have been handled better? Sure, but that's not the point. The point is we need.
Well, I don't know how.
Period.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Tunde, how? I mean, like, can you give me some like examples of how it could have been handled better? I just don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
and I'm not going to try to sit here and pretend.
I don't know.
You know, I'm an expert in terms of how to withdraw from a war, but I would have to think in terms of getting little like people like translators and things like that out of the country ahead of fully announcing that, hey, we're going to be exiting by such and such date, might be more of a priority than kind of leaving everything scrambled until like the last second, you know.
Well, that's just it. I'm saying before this last second. So this is August, and nothing is last second with the military. I'm my first job, and I don't say this like as a patriot or somebody who bleeds red, white, and blue, or got 50 stars tattooed on my ass and 12 stripes on my back, 50 whatever.
You got a tattoo about that?
I say it as a point of contact, and that's it. My first job in the United States Marine, right? So, and people need to know that, like, when things happen in the military, it's already, you know, there's a plan, and shit isn't done in haste, usually, unless it's an emergency, right? So I'm telling people, like, this is August. So before that, like June, in June, we got to remember they were in the middle of a civil war. People forget that Afghanistan was fighting some of the sects of Taliban, and people also, that's another thing. People think Taliban is just one organization, and not even understanding that these are tons of sects that have been fighting each other for millennia, right? Or I should say centuries, not millennia, but centuries. And it's not one central Taliban. And part of the agreement from Trump signed with the Taliban was to free some of the most militant Taliban and also Al Qaeda members from jails all over Afghanistan. And so these people came back, and their sects of the Taliban began to take over with military might, and also killing people and starting to hunt down women who participate in government and people who were translators. So I don't know when there could have been an earlier time, because people were fighting. So if we would start withdrawing people in June during the Civil War, we might have been putting people who were translators in more danger, because at that point, Taliban, the most extreme parts of Taliban, were already at war with the government, trying to kill not just folk who were helping America, but people that were in the government, the current government. So I don't know. I tell people all the time, I don't know if taking people out at an earlier moment would have been better, because it would have required more American troops to go into what was already an active war zone, and not our war zone. That would have, so we had, our few thousands of troops that were there in a supportive mission. People don't know that Afghanistan had been leading their own attacks, like airstrikes and ground strikes, for the past few years, more than American had been doing. and we just didn't talk about it. But in order to extract people and also maintain the point that we were doing during that war or before August, that would have required us to send more and more troops to Afghanistan in order to do those extractions, and that creates a different type of danger or a different type of hazard. So I just don't know. That's what I'm trying to tell people. I don't know when and how there could have been a better exit. It just sounds good. It sounds good as a soundbite. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. Yeah. And I think what my main point is regardless of if people, like we could have done something better or not, regardless of that, that doesn't change the fact that we needed to get out, period. And I think that that's what people are using as an excuse for perhaps why we should stay or do this or do that. But, in truth, there is no reason for us to be there, whether there's human rights abuses or not, because, for one, like, let's, maybe look in the mirror a little bit in terms of talking about human rights abuses. But then also, too, how are you going to let, countries like Saudi Arabia, just, nobody says anything about them, right? And yet there's human rights abuses all over the place there, and there's nothing to be said.
And women even drive. And women even have driver's licenses in Saudi Arabia.
I think they were just somebody quote me, or somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But I think they actually just did, and I think that they were like, well, let's try this out a little bit. Like, let's let a few women drive and let's see how that goes. And they just got to that point, But
Saudi Arabia just allowed women to come, like, travel for purposes without their male sponsor.
Right.
Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you can leave the country now as a woman without your male sponsor, or go around without your male sponsor, which is absolutely fucking disgusting. And supposedly one of America's best allies over in and not to mention all of the people who perpetrated 9/11 were Saudi nationals.
So everybody can.
Yeah. Go ahead, brother.
Well, I was going to say, everybody can, just nullify this conversation about, like, oh, we're really concerned with, like, human rites abuses, or this is still about 9/11 somehow. Like, no, dead all that shit.
I wish they were really concerned with human rights abuses. I wish they were really fucking concerned with human rights abuses of Black people. And I'm not saying at the expense of folk in Afghanistan, because we're human and we need to care about humans all over, for sure. But what I'm saying is, when Americans are screaming about human rights abuses all over the world, it sounds tone deaf to me when Black people in this country have yet to achieve full citizenship. And this experiment has been going on for nearly 500 years, or definitely over 400 years. So I'm disgusted at the bullshit and the hypocrisy that is America when I hear them screaming about human rights abuse when they won't even hold this fucking government accountable for the abuses that Black folks suffer daily just living here. And again, which ties me back to the idea and the fact that misinformation is a motherfucker, or as we now call misinformation, fucking lies. Yeah. Speaking of fucking lies, but not in the same sense, brother. But before we go to the next topic, let me say something. You all, if you're on Facebook, please share this. Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap is dope. We try to provide a deeper understanding of the issues that are on the news, or that are in the news, and that are the news. Then you will get on CNN, MSNBC, and we stay on topics way longer, as you just saw, than a soundbite. And usually when I'm talking, it ain't a fucking soundbite anyway, because I don't know how to do that 9-second shit. But please share this. If you're watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe. It's important. Let's fuck up the algorithm. Chuck Diesel told y'all to do it about 22 minutes ago. I think y'all should definitely take that advice. We need you all to like and share this and subscribe as well. And you can find us wherever you find your podcast, and put us in your pocket and take us with you all around and piss off all your conservative cousins and also co-workers. I'm about that life.
Well, yeah, Mondale, I got to talk about your lies real quick, because you said you had no sound bites. I mean, you got a couple bars every now and then that you can clip out, throw on social media. Don't lie.
I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that. But yeah, Texas. Texas is absolutely fucking disgusting for so many reasons. We saw this myth of Texas independence, of this Lone Star State shit, go underwater a few times in the past couple years, right? First, we saw Texas idea of not taking federal money for their grid. Texas has been on its own grid. People bragged about that. for so long. We saw how fucked up and faulty that was when the ice storm hit Houston and so many people lost their lives and ice was dripping down into people's water. People couldn't get electricity. Of course, Ted Cruz, the senator from Texas, couldn't see that firsthand because he left the state. Matter of fact, he left the country and went to Cancun to protect his family from all the cold weather that was suffering from. Then we also saw so many people affected in Texas by COVID and other health issues because Texas refused to take federal monies and extend Obamacare to its residents, and it became one of the worst health spots in this country. Right, with so many people in Texas, it is absolutely disgusting that we see them refusing the aid from the federal government, which would cost the state nothing to insure people. And now Texas is probably one of the least insured states in the country, and that has lasting ramifications even before the COVID crisis. Now we find ourselves at an inflection point that is even worse and more biting since we see the Supreme Court has refused to freeze this new fucking law in Texas to basically abolish the right of women to have an abortion. Texas passed a law that said that abortions beyond 6 weeks are illegal. Let me remind most motherfuckers, most women that are pregnant don't even know they're pregnant at 6 week point. So this is absolutely disgusting. And it's an attack on women's rights. It is absolutely the beginning to end of Roe v. Wade unless Congress do something. And we've seen this Congress not be bold enough to pass voting rights, to pass the study on reparations. So we know that we're not going to get a protection for these sisters. 15 million, I think, women in Texas now are in danger, not just because of the abortion, but because what it means to have vigilantes chase you. What do I mean by that? Part of the fucking law that Texas passed say that they are putting bounties on people here. Basically, civilians, regular motherfuckers can go after people, doctors, other folk that provide what they believe abortions beyond 6 weeks. So you have motherfuckers that are not doctors giving them power to go after people. And I think it was like a $10,000 reward or some shit for going after these people. We are in a fucking problem space. We are in a problem space with the Supreme Court, and we see the nature of the Supreme Court. This goes back to election had ramifications. This is Donald Trump's Supreme Court. He appointed 3 folk on this motherfucker, and we are in danger. These conservative folk, even when John Roberts has to join with the liberals, and it's the 3 liberal justices. This is a proof that we need to expand. The Supreme Court size. We also need to, this is some real shit, we also need to end the filibuster. Ending the filibuster would allow Democrats, who are in the majority right now, to pass law that the Supreme Court couldn't overturn. So we are in a dangerous spot, man. Texas will become the first of many states to do shit just like this. We are in trouble. Women are in danger. And anybody that gives a fuck, and people need to know that this is not just a women's problem. This is a family problem, right? Women issues are all of our issues, and if we don't see it that way, we're definitely in trouble. So I'm nervous about this shit big time, and it doesn't get better from here, brother. It definitely gets darker before the light.
Yeah, it gets darker, and I think what's alarming about all of this is happening in the face of how we see the GOP reacting to COVID, right? So when you talk about people being they want to quote protect life and do all these other things, but it's just like, well, where's that same energy for people who are dying of COVID, right? I got the clip that I'm gonna play here in a sec, but it's of I believe the Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick talking about COVID. This was like kind of in the early part of COVID, when he was basically saying like, I mean, old people, they just gonna have to take one for the team, and
He literally let old people die.
Yeah, hold on, let me see if I can cue this clip up real quick. But he was saying this in the sense of like, we don't care, like it's okay, like let's just open the businesses back up, and when you have those two things that are standing in deep contrast with one another. It's like, how do you not recognize your, I feel like hypocrisy isn't a good enough word anymore. It just doesn't, it doesn't make sense, right? How are you fighting for, on one hand, fighting for life, quote unquote, as you know, and this is, we're talking about within 6 weeks, right? That they're saying that, they can ban abortions within 6 weeks.
There are no exceptions, bro.
No exceptions.
Do you understand? There are no exceptions. That means if a woman is raped in Texas, you still got to have that baby. If it may kill the mother, you still got to have that. It's and at 6 weeks, I'm telling you, women rarely know that they're pregnant before 6 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, when you have these things sort of opposed to one another, it just, you wonder,
So,
go ahead.
go ahead. I just want to talk about Sherman Harding on Facebook just said, and that brother's running for office, so y'all should just look him up. And if you got some coins, you need to throw it his way. He's a super progressive in Maryland, running at the county level. Said that white conservatives are no better than the Taliban, and I think that statement may sound like hyperbole, but it's not. If you consider about the restrictive acts of Taliban on women's life, then you have to also consider white conservatives in that same context. And this law, and so many other attacks on Roe v. Wade and abortion is absolutely a terrorist attack. I saw Patrice say that it's illegal now in Texas to be a woman. I think that's an accurate fucking statement, because if you're taking away my health and controlling what is uniquely woman, and that's the right to produce a baby, then you're damn right you're at war with women. And that's a scary fucking thing and a scary place to be, especially when I have so many sisters and mothers and aunts. Trying to consider that makes me extremely fucking nervous.
Yeah. So I got this clip from Dan Patrick in Texas. I queued it up a different way, so you bear with me if it doesn't work initially, but let's see if we can play it.
Oh, yeah, it's cool. Go ahead.
Are you willing to take a chance on your survival in exchange for keeping the America that all America loves for your children and grandchildren?
Here, but I got no
and if that's the exchange, I'm all in.
Let me see if I can cue that up a little better.
They might be able to hear, but I can't.
Yeah, I think the people hear it. I got you. Let me make sure you can hear it, Demondo.
No, that's all that matters.
I got you. All right.
Chance on your survival. That is how he described it. Do you share that belief?
Shit. There we go.
To me and said, as a senior citizen, are you willing to take a chance on your survival in exchange for keeping the America that all America loves for your children and grandchildren? And if that's the exchange, I'm all in.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
No correction. Listen. Let's be clear, Tunde. Let's be clear, clickbaity. Let's be clear, Squirrel Gang. These are the motherfuckers that are brave enough to call themselves pro-life. What was pro-life in that statement? What's pro-life about locking people up forever in cells, solitary confinement, prisons that are unsanitary? What's pro-life about telling a woman that she may have to sacrifice her life in an attempt to give birth? What's pro-life about any of this shit they're doing? What's pro-life about people being hungry? What's pro-life about giving billionaires tax cuts? What's pro-life about any other Republican platform? Not a fucking thing, and Democrats can't even articulate that. Republicans aren't pro-life. They've never been pro-life. They're pro-white richness. And we need to own it. Actually, we should just call them the racist party. Not the Republican Party, they're the racist party. And we need to own that. point blank, period. This is disgusting, brother. And that statement just sent me through the roof. As I know I have, two parents from the baby boomer generation. That is absolutely disgusting, thinking that that science is not the way out of COVID, but killing old people is. And actually, that if you look at Texas, that's how they carry themselves. They don't want assistance from the federal government on shit that could save lives, not just elderly folk, but in this case, women and other citizens. So we are absolutely like I said again, at an inflection point where we find ourselves dealing with some shit or letting some shit continue the way it is. The status quo is so dangerous in this country right now, where you have elected officials trying to get people to kill folk. And that's exactly what Catherine was trying to do. You have a Supreme Court that is so conservative that Roe v. Wade is done. Literally, this is not hyperbole. Roe v. Wade is dead. And we had a Congress that is being, we have a Senate that has been beholden to a relic of Jim Crow. That's the filibuster. And we are losing lives because of it.
And what's crazy is that like the Supreme Court, they're not even trying to even take up the issue, right? Like right now they're saying that their non-objection, I guess, because it was 5-4, right? As far as the justices go, their objection wasn't. They weren't even trying to argue whether it's constitutional or not. This Texas law, they basically were saying, oh, it's because it's due to quote complex and quote novel procedural questions that they're not even going to hear or discuss whether it's constitutional or not, meaning that they're just kicking the can down the road, which you're right, in effect that basically is doing away with Roe v. Wade, and I think it's even, again, like it's even crazier when you think about, like, I see all of these memes, that people are putting out on Facebook or Instagram or whatever the case is, saying, you say my body, my choice when it comes to women's rights, but my body, my choice when it comes to this mask is, but it's like you're equating wearing a mask with a procedure that's actually done on your body. And this is like, this is what I can't comprehend, that how do you equate wearing a piece of cloth on your face to having control over what actually happens with your body? Literally.
Tunde, there was this picture going around of a 1919 baseball game with all white people in the stand, because we were fucking segregated, and ain't no way they were going to sit beside us at a game. And guess what they had on their face? Mask. You know why? Because it was they call it the Spanish flu. I'm not going to call it that because that's racism, and I can tell you we can do a whole history lesson on why they call it the Spanish flu, but it was not the Spanish flu, and it should have never been named that. But that was propaganda too, or what we used to call misinformation, but now we call fucking lies. But anyway, everybody in the fucking stand had on a fucking mask, bro. You want to know why? Because they knew that it was part of the way that they were going to address the pandemic then. That was in 1918. That is the tragedy. So this is in the dark ages compared to supposedly where we are right now, and we can't even get these fucking idiots to put on masks. It is absolutely disgusting. I will also say this, brother. But it ain't about life. It's about a political statement, right? And that political statement, all of this shit is tied to fear. That fear is tied to white supremacy. Say what you want to say. I'll argue this point until I'm black in the face. Not blue in the face, black in the face.
You said he had no. You said he had no. No quotes. There's a quote right there.
But I mean, I'm not being coy. I think we really need to investigate how far these people willing to go with this idea that this is an infringement on their freedom. Your freedom stop when you begin to impede on other people's fucking life. That's basic knowledge. Your right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness does not get to fucking cost me my life. That is not what the Constitution's fucking protections are about. You don't get to fucking live free and do whatever the fuck you want to if it costs people lives. You not wearing a mask and your kids going to school not wearing a mask and you going to board meetings trying to fight people that are there with masks on is not guaranteed to you in the United States Constitution. That's the dumbest fucking idea ever. It is not these same motherfuckers wear seatbelts. These same motherfuckers do the speed limit. How is you having a car but doing the fucking speed limit an impediment on your fucking right to own a car, your right to do 99 because your car can do it? It's not. It's about the reason you can't do more than 75 or legally or 70 on a public highway or federal sponsored highway is because beyond that, we know that the likelihood of death in an accident is fucking exponentially higher, right? That's the same fucking thing. The reason you need to put on a mask because we know the spread of COVID is so much higher without that mask. This ain't a fucking impeachment or fucking impediment on your right, any constitution, right? Because you don't have one to kill other fucking people. That's exactly what you're gonna do. Put the fucking mask on. If you're in a building, put the mask on. I said if you ain't vaccinated, keep your ass at home. That's my thing. If you don't want to get vaccinated, great. Don't go any fucking where. Don't let anybody come over. Keep your ass in the house.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Well, that's in a world where logic prevailed. So unfortunately, we seem not to be in that particular reality right now.
For a long fucking time.
But let's maybe end on I guess a lighter note. I don't even know. I guess if this is a lighter note.
I watched the clip of this shit happen, bro. I guess you could call it a lighter note. But what's more, to me, it's a continuation of white supremacy. So I think we could call it a lighter note, I guess, because the fucking idiot put his license plates on the national news so anybody can find him, and that's exactly what the fucking public did. Found him. We're talking about the dumbass man who ran up on Shaq. I don't know his fucking name. The white boy from Ohio.
Shaquille Brewster is his name. The reporter
was the reporter, but I don't know the white boy name. Shaq.
The guy's name is Benjamin Eugene Dagley. He just sounds like he's a dude who needs some help.
He sound like he's some dumb shit. So listen, Benjamin Eugene Dagley ran up on Shaq. Shaq is a reporter for MSNBC. He was covering the hurricane. Shaq was covering the hurricane. The reporter was covering the hurricane at Gulfport. That's where all the rednecks like to go vacation. I said it. Call me. He ran up on him and started screaming, "Oh, you gotta report this accurately. Report this accurately." Didn't even know what the brother was covering. He just saw the MSNBC van run up on him, and so much so that Craig Melvin had to cancel the live stream because you see him about the attack. So, the attack. Yeah. So go ahead and run the video, then we'll come back. Right. So I can just talk about what I want to talk about. Let the people see.
Yeah.
We're in Gulfport, Mississippi, Craig, and I'll tell you the biggest sign, the biggest indicator that I saw this morning about the force of the storm last night is that the mail delivery has returned. We saw postal workers going out delivering mail this morning. Just a couple of minutes ago, people were walking their dogs. They're back on the beach right now, and that's the sense that you're getting, that the rain has stopped, the wind is still going there. I think we even have a random person going around. I'm going to turn this way because, we deal with some people every once in a while. But, one thing that we are noticing is that the mayor said the curfew is still in effect. The curfew is going to be going on for at least until a period of time in which they can go ahead and survey all the damage. They did get some reports of some down power lines, of some trees that have fallen, or at least limbs that have fallen. So they're going to go ahead and do that survey to make sure that they're okay. Craig, I'm going to toss it back to you because we have a person who needs a little help right now.
Hey. We're going to check in with Shaq Brewster just to make sure all is well.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, for me, bro, you can see the white man launching at Shaq during, like, right before he cut it off. If I was Shaq, he'd have launched to that microphone. I'd have smacked him in his face with that microphone. And for those people who say they're not for violence and I should promote violence, you don't fucking know me. You are not gonna come in my face like that. I promise you. I am gonna react. So what happened was, anyway, this idiot was on vacation And then they put his name out. They found out who he was. And guess what? He ain't nothing but a fucking coming through. Motherfucker, he was not supposed to be outside of Ohio where he's from, Cohoe County, because it violates his probation. And he had committed other infractions. So now he's in violation of his probation. And also he's got these 2-3 new charges, simple assault charges, and also disturbing the peace charges, and also driving during in violation of an emergency do not drive notification. So he is the motherfucking moron of the day, and I'm super excited about it. I'm glad the public found out who he was. And as my abolitionist self, I'm talking about the prisons, say that there are people that no one needs to be locked up in cages. This bastard needs to be somewhere other than free.
Well,
and I mean that.
My biggest question is like, why did he pull up so fast? Like,
yes, you know why?
He stopped the car, so we can see here. He stops the car. He walks around the car, and then he full on sprint. Well, I guess as much as he can sprint he jogs up to the car, or he jogs up to Shaq. You know what this is? I'm telling you, this is misinformation or fucking lies from the Trump them about fake news. This idea of covering it accurate, you have to tie it to fake news. I bet you when you go run him down, if we were to do a search right now of his social media, I bet you see posts from the GOP and Fox News every fucking where from this guy. This idea that you have the right to run up on people covering the news is absolutely dangerous. And also it's linked to this bullshit that Catherine has been saying, Marjorie Taylor's been saying, and all of that other shit. Right there, you're too close to me, buddy. You're not giving me my 6 feet. Bop, bop, out of 2 feet. Just a quick one, too.
There's a little meme out there that said he wasn't giving me my proper distance, so I 6 feet his ass. I social distance his ass. I'm telling you.
Yeah, this is some sincere some caring shit here, because it's like, so you think you just need to stop? For one, he's reporting on the storm. Like, what do you think he's misinforming people on? Like, what's the thing? What's the thing to like, they can see the shit's happening, like literally there with him right now. Like, what is he gonna? Oh, it's not raining. Like, what the fuck? Like, what is the thing you're trying to protect the public from? You know, what misinformation are you really trying to protect people from here? But it doesn't have to make sense.
You can no longer say misinformation without saying fucking lies. You gotta say fucking lies. You gotta say fucking lies, bro. I'm telling you. Because I think that's important that we had that conversation today, because you know what, I got caught up in the talking term that the media created. We call it misinformation. No, it's a fucking lie, bro. They did the same thing with Trump. They created a new fucking word that I don't think I ever heard in my life, and I'm not exaggerating. I never heard the word untruth or untruths until Trump became president. Call that motherfucker a lie, bro. Like, oh, Donald Trump, this is an untruth. What the fuck is an untruth? Yeah, what is an untruth? Sounds so polite. That Tunde, that is untrue. No, motherfucker, that is a lie. That is a lie, bro. And I think, we need to be clear about this, because I think the softening of reality has created these motherfucking monsters that are out here loading up. One of the guys I'm not even lying. One of the guys that got caught on camera from January 6th. Went home, got released on probation, on parole. On bail. On bail. Some shit black men know nothing about, because we don't get that opportunity most of the time. Definitely, if you run your ass up to the Capitol, you're not getting an opportunity for bail. One of those guys went home and started stockpiling guns. They had to rearrest his ass. And I'm telling you, all of this shit is, and I'm not saying the creation is Donald Trump. I'm saying the culmination was Donald Trump and his ability to divorce himself from the truth, and the media to allow it by saying shit like misinformation and untruth. So I'm calling them what it is. It's a fucking lie. It ain't no misinformation. It's a fucking lie. And you confuse people when you talk about misinformation, because misinformation sounds like, well, you think it's misinformation, but I don't. A fucking lie is a fucking lie.
Well, so I think, you know, I was watching something the other day that actually spoke to this exact point. And they were talking about like vaccines, right? And they were talking about like, well, how we got to this point of, you know, people just believing this insanity when it comes to like vaccines and stuff, right? That are there things to be skeptical of? Absolutely, right? But this isn't a both sides conversation. One side has a history of just facts on its side in terms of the effectiveness of vaccines and the safety of vaccines. Sure, are there things that can be questioned? Absolutely, but they're not two equally weighted things, but the media presents them as two equally weighted things by giving them both airtime, which I think speaks to what you're talking about with this whole idea of saying things like untrue or misinformation. It's like, well, if you just call the thing a lie, then you don't have people running, or who knows if you also have people out here running around saying that, or running up on random reporters who are reporting on hurricanes, saying you better be reporting this right, because I feel like if you give both sides even some amount of like legitimacy in presenting them as equally weighted sides of an argument, then people get confused in terms of which one is actually factually true. I think reporters have a duty not just to both sides everything, but to give you the facts as they're laid out, whether people want to hear it or not. And I think that's what is beginning. That's what the media began, and now it's gotten so out of control that them even trying to reverse course now doesn't even matter at this point, because it's all out there. That and the fact that the government does do shady shit an unhealthy amount of times, which then causes people to question everything, whether it's real or not, and yeah, this is a crazy situation that I don't see what our way out of it is. I don't see how
and in universes, I mean, like, I'm assuming like this fucking lies that people are telling like about COVID and all this shit. It's so funny to me. It's like Donald Trump. I mean, you remember this lawyer, what's his name, Pierce, from I think it's from Cali, who defends all of these Capitol riot folk, who all of these people, patriots, and denying COVID is real, is damn near in the hospital about to die from COVID, right? Anti-vaccinator, anti-vaxxer, what they call them, and also refuse to wear a mask, talking shit about COVID. Now he got 17 cases that the U.S. court can't even prosecute. U.S. attorneys can't even prosecute because his clients ain't got a lawyer because his ass is in the fucking hospital on a deathbed.
Wow,
that's the power. I mean, that's how powerful this misinformation or fucking lies have. These people are literally willing to die for this stupid shit. And
or like that.
I heard claims that motherfuckers are on the bed asking. He's on the bed asking, can they get vaccinated? No, you can't. Not right now, boss. Hopefully you pull through it. You can get the vaccine, but right now you can't. You know what I'm saying? So that's just the stupid shit. And I mean, we talked about ending on a lighter note, bro. I got a lighter note, but it's probably gonna piss half the people off in the world. Okay. Prime example of why I said Eminem sales don't mean shit when we're talking about greatest rapper. Donda went 6-time fucking diamond, not platinum, diamond within 24 hours. A diamond is 10 million. That motherfucker had 60 million streams within 24 hours. That album is hot fucking trash. I felt like Donda was an experiment in how to convert a bunch of people into devil worshiping. Donda is trash. Anybody calling that rap music, calling that shit great, calling it genius, I am questioning your sanity. Donda is hot fucking trash. Kanye needs help. Stop supporting the bullshit, y'all. Let that shit go. He's not a genius. He's trash. And y'all motherfuckers that are out here buying Donda gear off the fucking shelf so fast have bought into a concept that is long gone. It died with late registration. Maybe college dropout. But shit is horrible.
Yeah, I haven't listened to the whole thing yet.
Don't listen to it.
No, I have to listen to it to at least be able to have a take on it.
That beginning is scary. I was like, this guy's, the album is, we gotta move past. Kanye is not, go make some clothes with some holes in it, brother, because music ain't the thing. I'm serious. This is a hot mess. Serious.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I thought he went with each album, he's progressively more just outlandish with the things that he does in lead up to the album, right? He'll just do crazier and crazier things because it's relied less on the strength of the music itself and more on the circus around the music, you know? And that's one part of it, you know, regardless of how I feel about like the actual music itself. That's one part of it that always turns me off from people like Kanye, because he's not the only one who does it, but it's you create this like media circus around it. And it's like the music just takes a backseat to whatever it is that you're doing surrounding it, which it's always an indication to me that, oh, the thing's actually trash. You're just trying to repackage it as, you know, something that's hot when it's not, you know, it's, and I didn't mean to rhyme there, but you know, and I think Kanye has gotten away with so many years of, and I think this is the problem with a lot of people, not just music or Kanye specifically, but just, and it's kind of what I done like the Kanye effect, right? Which is you get to a point where you are great at one thing. Like there's no doubt, especially they're talking about like early Kanye, right? He made great music. I feel like that's undeniable. The early part of his career, he made beats.
Okay, yeah, the early part of his career. Okay, go ahead.
But I think what people then took that as is, oh, Kanye's great at everything. Now, everything that Kanye does, we have to just assume that he's, you know, a genius at it, right? Like, you know, he was called a genius, you know, after, you know, late registration, college dropout, all these things. He's called a genius. And then he just took it and he ran with it, where now we're taking political, you know, for some reason we care what Kanye thinks politically, for some reason people are running around with these Yeezys, you know, like, you know, and
so listen, brother, hold on. Don't kill your point. I need you to repeat that because, I think the world don't know that. Like the level of genius that we conferred on Kanye was by his beats and he made a couple good albums, hot albums. Yeah. But it was mostly about this. When Kanye produced something, it was gonna be fucking fire, right? We didn't argue with that point. I mean, anybody arguing that point is crazy, right? Kanye, the shit he did for Jay-Z and Rockefeller and all the other people who were on Kanye beats is undeniably beautiful. But that genius does not, like you said, confer to everything else. And people allowed it. If because Kanye did it, you don't understand it or you mad.
Exactly.
No, that shit's just ridiculous.
Well, then it starts being a beast that sort of feeds itself, right? Where now people look for the genius in the insanity, right? Where like and I'm sure I might piss some people off here, but like so like David Lynch, right, filmmaker, right? Some of his earlier work people really appreciated, and so I feel like as I kind of watched more of his work, it just started to get like, no, this just doesn't make any sense. There's no like genius behind this. It's just random shit you're just throwing together and saying that, oh yeah, this is just, it makes sense, you know, or your people read into it whatever they want. They appreciate your early work and then they forget to be critical of anything else after that, right? They stop thinking about, you know, oh, maybe you're just doing random stuff here. Maybe none of this is just like, you know, delicately put together and there's some sort of code behind the work. But what this affects is more people than just like people like Kanye, right? I feel like I truly do feel like this is how we got people like Trump, right? Where Trump
and also listen, let's just stay there. Let's stay in the entertainment world for a second. Let's talk about all of fucking Quentin Tarantino shit being black exploitation done by a white man. So that's a whole genre from the 70s, and ain't nobody paid black people in the 70s like they pay Quentin Tarantino, and that's exactly what the fuck he creates.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah. If you look at this shit, man, this ain't nothing but black exploitation films. Like, get the fuck out of here. I'm not fooled by that shit. And people call him a genius, and I'm like, bro, Dolomite from the 70s. Everything from the 70s is what the fuck he's doing. And it's absolutely disgusting that people convey so much power and control to this guy who did nothing but steal. And you know, I appreciate you saying that, because Pulp Fiction was something, but a lot of this shit is nothing. It's nothing new anyway. So y'all stop throwing around words like genius. And stop calling motherfuckers haters for calling Kanye shit trash when it really is. And some of y'all might need to get tested for COVID because you might have lost your sense of smell, because that shit smell like shit. That shit was trash. It was garbage, bro.
There's a new COVID symptom. You know, you can't hear things quite as well when you.
Yeah. We've kept you all long enough. Again, before we go though, please, if you're on YouTube, subscribe, like this. Comment, make sure you share this with your friends. We are Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap. And since Marcus stood us up today, we will be back at the same time. He's not a morning person. Tuesday, I'll see y'all at I'm in Central Time right now, so 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, get my time zones together. 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So I hope y'all will join us for that hour and 30-minute session. We are back, y'all. We're talking our shit. Let me give y'all a Monday moment before y'all go. There are tons of people in this world who show up to do political work. Remember, most of those people have been doing political work their entire life and career, the same way the party do the work. The party is not doing political work for the benefit of our community. Just because someone looks like us and their texture of hair is ours, don't automatically assume they have the benefit of our community at hand. Think about them, examine their work and motives. There's motherfuckers out here that are trying to get paid, and that's it. Benefiting you and making our communities better has nothing to do with their bottom line, and they don't give a fuck about you. You are a tool and a cog in a system that they are trying to get paid from. Examine these motherfuckers if you don't know them. If they were sent to you by white folk, question that shit. You cannot be a leader chosen by white folk of black people. The people shall choose their leaders, and not any people, but the people of our communities. So know that, y'all. Be safe out here, and I have a wonderful holiday weekend. And as you finish your holiday, come join us Tuesday. I'm Mondale Robinson, one half of Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap. I'm here today on behalf of me and Marcus Farrell. You can find him at Restorative Roots and Marcus Farrell everywhere, or Old Man Something on Twitch, Old Man Politics on Twitch. Tunde, thank you so much for producing the show today, brother. Dwayne, I know you had to run. Thank you for managing the comments. Chuck and everybody else in the chat, thank y'all for showing up. We love y'all. Thank y'all for being patient. But we are back and we are talking our shit. Peace.
Trap squad, 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 trap squad. Hey, clickbaity political. Yeah, thirst trap, trap squad, squirrel squad. Our mission is critical to speak the truth to the masses. Yeah. We here for the fight. We ain't started, but we here to finish it. Sick and tired of seeing the privilege. Take advantage of the weak and the innocent. So we let a voice be heard. Every single weeknight. Unapologetic. Yeah. Black people, despite this white supremacist system that we live through on a daily, we still throwing up those acorns cause we represent clickbaity. Yeah. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad. Let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad. Throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad. Yeah, I see you, yeah, I see you. Trap squad, trap squad. Trap squad, thirst trap. Trap squad, trap squad. Trap squad. Let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad. Throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad. Yeah, I see you, yeah, I see you. Trap squad, trap squad. Trap squad, thirst trap. Trap squad, trap squad.